When it comes to international business communication, technology is great, but sometimes it only gets you so far. You need a personal touch in order to finally get the deal done. That's where Wendy Pease comes in. She is president and CEO of Rapport International, and welcome to the Language of Business.
Thank you for having me.
How do international business communication and foreign language translation relate to one another?
Well, imagine if you're trying to do international business and you don't speak the language of the other person. How are you going to accurately communicate what you're trying to get across? So clear communication takes good translation and good interpretation.
Why couldn't, in this day and age, you just use Google Translate?
I admire Google Translate. What they've done is very appropriate for getting the gist of something. But if you actually have a translation that could affect your bottom line, then it's very important to have a real person do the translation.
Translation versus localization.
Well, there is translation, there's globalization, there's localization, and that all refers to written. If it's anything to do in the spoken area, that would be interpretation.
And which do you recommend to your clients?
Basically, a translation is going to give you a good solid meaning. Globalization and localization really refer to how it's translated. So if I'm taking a consumer product out, say a candy bar, and I'm selling it in Mexico, I'm going to put pesos down and I'm going to make local references to activities that somebody might be doing when they're eating that. But you can't use that same translation in Spain, even though it's both Spanish, because you're going to want to have local references to sell it. So that would be localization. Globalization might be more for like an engineering manual on how to use a medical device or something like that, because you could use one good Spanish that could cover all the Spanish-speaking markets.
How do you keep current with new terms, especially when books are printed?
That is why you need a person. There's about 3,000 words a year added to a language. So if you look, I love this little book here. It's a dictionary from 1943. So you can see how small it is and how many words there were. And just in the interest of coming here, I thought, well, let me Google, Webster and find out how many words were added last year to the dictionary and what words they were. And there were over 2,000 words added in, and we had some like FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
There
yes.
you go, so you're up with it. Or selfie, I'm sure we've all used that
right.
by now. Farm share, are you familiar
with a literal definition of farm share, where you're sharing in a farm cooperative?
Yes,
yep.
Yes, so you'd buy in and then you go out
yep.
on a weekly basis and,
sure.
and buy the produce. So there's words like this that we'll start using all the time in our vernacular, but they aren't in the dictionary, so that's why it becomes important to have a real person doing the translation.
On your website, it says that you handle 100 languages at one time. How is that possible?
Well, we have experts in languages and subject material. So we have enough to cover 100 languages. Plus, they divide out. You wouldn't want a technical writer writing your marketing material or vice versa. So you have to have somebody that has an expertise in the subject matter.
And what is Rapport International's competitive advantage vis-a-vis other language translation agencies?
We've come up with a service called the Rapport, and what it does, it gives us an automatic notification when anything's been changed in the English language website. It alerts us to take it through your process to make sure that all your in-language websites are updated. So it takes it from over a 21-step process down to one step, multiple people involved down to one point of contact, and then it used to take weeks to do, and we can turn it around in days.
How does culture and business merge together in a work like Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands?
I love this book, because if you're going international to do business, you need to understand something about the culture. And that's a neat thing about having an interpreter who's good and trained with you, is because they can give you cultural clues. Because you can get so much out of a book, you can get so much from visiting the country, but if you're actually doing business, an interpreter will help guide you. One story I found was very interesting, is that somebody went in and the interpreter said, now when you go to the room, across the room to meet this person, you really should go across on your knees. And he thought the interpreter was joking, but found out it was accurate. And he did it and got much more respect for even understanding that should have been done in that situation.
And your final two books?
Just to remind people that with gestures, just as in printed language, that pictures are really important. So if you're doing a Spanish brochure, You would have people that look Hispanic that are represented in the pictures. Learning about certain gestures, like pointing the bottom of your foot in some countries can be very offensive.
And languages of the world?
There's over 3,000 languages in the world, so when we say we do 100, it sounds like a lot, but there's a ton of them.
Wendy, thank you.
Thank you.
Wendy Pease, President and CEO of Rapport International.